Okay. Hi. Hello, everyone. Today we're talking about The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Susan Collins. Finally, we're going to discuss it. And yeah, we kind of put this off for a while because we wanted to give people time to read it and make sure it was a good timing to do it as well. And my name's Peyton. I would hope you know that because you're on my channel. And I guess y'all can introduce yourselves as well.
I'm Avery from
Hi.
Avery Books. Yeah.
I'm Emma from Dearest Emma.
I'm Lily from Lily Eleanor Reed.
Yay. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. And I guess we should start off by saying, like, what did we rate the book, our overall general feelings on it? I think I'm the only one that gave it 5 stars, but I don't know.
I gave it 3.5. Yep.
Fair enough. Emma, do you want to go?
I gave it a 4. It was like a pretty solid 4 for me, like the entire time.
Yeah. I gave it a 4. Like, I've had it as a 4. It's still up as a 4 online and everything, but I have been like thinking a lot about the book recently, and I don't know, like, I feel like I might change my rating
Lower.
just based on what I've read. It's really complicated, and I'm hoping I can like explain it as I talk today. But like I was saying, I've been at work recently, and like I'm really tired when I get back from work. So if I'm a bit incoherent, I apologize. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling very complicated about it at the moment.
It is complicated because, well, one, everybody seems to have really mixed opinions on it. I feel like most people don't like it, at least on Twitter and on the reviews I've seen. And I'm not a very critical reader, so like take my review with a grain of salt because I was just happy to have it. But I will say there were things that I didn't really like. And I just filmed my review of it and I completely failed to even touch on those. So I'm going to have to add a clip. So like I completely forgot. We have so many comments.
I was the same. Like I went back over my review.
Nothing against y'all. That's just how I felt. Yep.
I think this one's going to be interesting though because we have like different opinions. Like,
yeah, because we all love all the other ones, and so this one will be very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to even talk about it. Like I kind of put off even doing a review because I was kind of stressed. Like everybody, like, the worst book ever. Like I can see that. Like I can see why people don't like it. And if I was being more critical, I probably would give it like a 4 or something. But I'm not doing that. So how did y'all feel about it overall as like a villain origin story? Did you ever feel empathy for him? Like everybody, as y'all remember, when we first heard about this, everybody was saying, oh my God, I don't want to feel any empathy for him. Like, ew, he's not a hero. And I would like to know what y'all think about that after having read the book. Do you feel like that was what she was going for? And was he a hero? No.
I guess I'll go first. I think I didn't feel like empathy towards him exactly. I think to have a villain backstory to some extent, you do have to, I don't know, like if you're actively hating them the entire time, like that's really tough to get through. And so for me, I felt like it had a good balance between, like, even from the first scene, like you can already tell he's a bad person and his personality is awful. And so I think there was a good like mix there. Like I never was worried that I was going to feel like empathetic towards him or anything. And he was like annoying consistently all the way through. So I think it did well. I don't know how you get around that because, you know, if people argue that, well, you know, a little bit of sympathy you felt for him, which I did at times, like in certain situations, but I don't know how else you would have a 500+ page story and keep people engaged in it if they can't find anything to connect to, you know, like the person's just so awful. So I thought she actually did a pretty decent job, like maintaining our dislike for him the whole time.
I think she made him like human enough that like it was believable, if you see what I mean, and like he felt like a human person. It wasn't just like a caricature. I never felt sympathy for him really, or empathy. Anytime I feel like the narrative started going that way, then I felt like she like backed it up and was like, oh no, he's actually horrible. Like here's a horrible thought, or like here's him thinking something really nasty about someone. So I think she did balance it well. I have just seen some things in reviews, which is like what I'm processing at the moment. I've been processing this week is like about Suzanne Collins is like privilege in telling this story and stuff like that, which I'm just trying to like take in and like figure out how I feel about that, how complicated I feel. So that's where I'm at. I thought it was good he wasn't like a very likable person, and I did think it was like a take on the villain origin story. Like I was glad it wasn't like a Snape situation. Yeah. I have a lot of like complicated thoughts. I'm sorry I'm not being very eloquent.
No, you're fine. What about you, Avery?
Dog fell off the bed when you were talking. That's what that was. Yeah, I was talking to my friend about this because The Hunger Games is like her life. Like she grew up loving it too, and we both love the Lunar Chronicles, and so a bunch of people. I remember people were talking about like Queen Lavanna's origin story book. We actually like loved it because you really got to see like how she really became evil. And I was talking to her. I was like, the issue I found with this book is like, at least with like Ferris, like you got to see how Lavanna became evil and like what was the root thing for her when like I felt like Snow was the same from the start to the beginning, maybe a little bit more evil.
Yes.
You know? So like it wasn't feel like it was an origin story to me at all. Like I don't think that's the label for this. That's my opinion.
I get what you mean. Yeah. I definitely get what you mean.
Here's a comment that I thought was interesting. They said he wasn't awful to begin with. Dr. Gall just made him awful. I still think he was a bad person from beginning with, but I think her character was really interesting because you could kind of see how she was manipulating him, and all of her like moments with him kind of led to his beliefs that he had towards the end of the end of the book, where he was like, we need the Hunger Games or everything part, which obviously is not true. But
I think it's like he always had it in him, but she kind of like gave him the tools to like expand on those feelings and like on that part of his personality, if you see what I mean. I still think he would never have been a good person, but I think she just like she saw in him something, and so she like really developed that within him, kind of like with her teachings and stuff.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this. So how did y'all feel about the romance that was this is one thing that like I really didn't like because it was just so and I can
we all said it.
Oh yeah, we said it from the beginning that we would be like not into it. Like at all. Because it was just so odd to see him like be attracted to somebody and they be kind of into it. And I do kind of think by the end of the book, she figured it out, like in that last scene that they had together, and started to run away from him. But I was hoping she would figure it out a lot sooner than she did. Because, I don't know, I feel like there was hints at his craziness and just his not good part. But I also can see on her side of it, she doesn't know the future. Like, she doesn't know all that he would become. But I still feel like he was a bad person.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like when you think about like the scene she was with him, like he was being nice to her the whole time, I guess. And like she doesn't know how his mind is working and why, like the motivations for why he's doing certain things. But then like, I don't know, I just got the vibe she was so smart. And so I was like, come on. Like, I was like, figure it out.
I honestly feel like it was kind of like a little bit of a missed opportunity for Suzanne Collins. Like she could have like done this like awesome like twist where like I was waiting for like when the scenes when like she's like singing and when like she comes back from like basically part 3, the whole beginning. I was when like they started meeting up again, I was like, okay, Suzanne's gonna like do some big twist, she's gonna figure it out, she's gonna like do something to where that's why Snow hates so much, like she's gonna just ruin him. And then it didn't happen. I was like, I feel like that was just some missed opportunity. That's why part 3 was that thing.
Yeah, I feel like towards the beginning, like I didn't mind the romance, like I didn't want it, but I was like, it's fine. Because I did think I kept waiting for her to like pull one over on him.
Yeah.
And because she seemed so smart, and I was like, that'll make it valid if something like that happens. But then I feel like by the end of it, I was like, what was the impact of that romance? Like, what was the point? And that's what kind of made me upset, because I feel like Lucy Gray was such an interesting character, and I just hated that so much of her story was just like tied to Snow in that way.
Yeah, I totally agree, because I feel like the whole book, most of us were probably thinking that she was way smarter than this, and like she was about to come through, and like technically she kind of did at the like very last like bit, but like she was into him, she was making out with him, like, and it wasn't for like a different reason.
Yeah,
she actually wanted to kiss him.
I was playing him the whole time. Like when he like was a peacekeeper at 12, I thought they were gonna see each other, and she was gonna be like, "Who the frick are you?" Like, I don't know who you are. And like,
I was waiting for her to be like, "What are you doing here?" That was all just like to win. Like, shut up, go away. Like, I thought that was what was gonna happen, and then
I did too. Especially because like her first scene, like I feel like that was so iconic with the snake and everything. I was like,
yes,
this girl's about to be something. And even though I gave it 5 stars, like I still like didn't like that fell through and didn't feel fully like developed with her.
Yeah.
There's so many comments. It's hard to read. Okay, this is something that I think is interesting.
Yeah.
Snow was very obsessive. He thought of her as an object, and he thought he had control of her, and that's what makes him so power thirsty later on. Yeah, he was very like obsessive. I don't think we could ever say he was actually into her. He was more like just so intrigued at the idea of like owning her.
She's like mine, like my Lucy Gray, like, and then she'd get so annoyed when she did anything that like wasn't to do with him, and I was like, you should, like.
And like,
the whole time rolling her eyes at him.
And then at the end, when like he was like leaving with her, escaping with her, the whole time he was like, well, great, like I have to leave now because I'm gonna be found out. And then once he realized that the guns were in like the shack, the cabin or whatever, he was like, oh, okay. Like, I just like, you don't love her, dude. We know you didn't love her. Okay.
Yeah, 100% like infatuation. I saw an interesting comment actually that made me think, like, because I kept drawing loads of parallels while I was reading it, and it was like, oh, like they thought it was real love, but then deep down it was fake. And I just thought, I was like, that's interesting, because obviously like Katniss and Peter, like they think it's fake, but then it's actually not. So like, I don't know if my brain was going like, but I don't know if that was intentional or not.
Do we think Suzanne will write a sequel / do you have any hopes for who will be part of the movie cast? I hope she doesn't write a sequel. I can see how people think that she will, because kind of like Avery said, like we didn't really see much of like him actually being the villain that we know. He just led up to it, and we ended off with him poisoning somebody, which I thought, like, I really liked that scene, like seeing him poison somebody for the first time. But
that was cool.
You can kind of see why people would think there'd be a sequel, but I don't think we should get one. Like, I think that's too much.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want a sequel to this story. Like, I don't know if I can take another book in Snow's head, honestly. I definitely think she left it open-ended. I'm just still gunning for the bind up of novellas of
Yes.
different victors. That's
That'd
what
be so good. Like, please, Suzanne.
Or pull a Stephanie and do Hunger Games from Peter's perspective.
Yeah, I'd eat that up. Like, come on.
Someone mentioned Tigress, and like I wish we would have learned how like she started hating it. Like that's one of the things I wanted. When we found out Tigress was in here, I was like, okay, we're gonna figure out that story, and we never did.
Yeah, that was another thing where I was like, what was the point? What was the point of having her be his cousin and have like this whole, I was like so excited for it, and then nothing really came of it. So, and she was in it so much less than I thought she was going to be. So, yeah, that was really odd. I feel like that first like chapter, it like set so many expectations for me, and then I don't know. I was just left really confused in the end by a lot of things.
Yeah.
I really liked Tigress. She seemed really nice, but once again, we didn't get that much from her. And I really wanted to know, like, at least a sprinkle of what starts her dislike of him, because she obviously loved him, especially like when he was in District 12 and she wrote him, keeping him up to date on the Capitol. Like, she obviously cared about him. I'm just like, what went wrong?
Yeah. I feel like
there were
opportunities. Yeah, sorry. Keep going.
No, I feel like there were hints that like it just wasn't expanded on. It's like if you think about it, you can kind of make some connections, but like I would have liked more clearer.
Yeah.
Here's a common theory I've been seeing, that people think Maud Ivory, or however you say that, is Katniss's grandma. And I'm not completely against that. Like, it's possible, maybe.
Possibly.
I kind of believe in it. Although I was talking about it with my friend. We got real deep into it, and we were like, she might be her great grandma, just because of like how young people have kids in 12. That might be a thing. But like, yeah, I think she's descended from Maud Ivory, for sure. Just like all the songs and stuff. And the like really obvious bit where Maud Ivory was like, I prefer the name Katniss. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I really,
so
that theory is really cool. I like it.
Yeah.
But the fact that she kept actually like saying Katniss, like the Katniss root, I was like, oh my god, you gotta chill.
The little sprinkle of things here and there was pretty cool, but I thought the Katniss was a little bit overdone.
It was like fine the first time they mentioned it, and then like she kept doing it. And, like, too bad we get it. Like,
yeah.
All the different.
Okay, here's something. What do you think happened between the Plinths and Snow? This makes me sad because Sejanus was my favorite character out of all of them, and Rip, like he had like a tragic story, man. Like I can't. But and what makes it worse is that Snow's the reason that he died, pretty much, and then he goes back to the capital, and then pretty much becomes the new son of Sejanus's parents, and I think they never found out the true story. I think
no. I don't think so. Yeah,
like that, and that's so depressing.
I honestly think he might have got rid of them at one point, just because he like maybe he thought it was like a loose end and too much of a tie to his past or something. Like
he probably got annoyed of them, like eventually, when he didn't need them anymore.
Yeah, like Mar Plinth just deserved better.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why. I just remember that line where he was like, he was just so rude about other people. Like, I remember when he was like, Sejanus calls his mum Ma. That's so like district. Like, I was like,
yeah.
So rude.
Oh my god.
That was just me reading the whole book. Like every time he said something, I was like, stop being rude. Like,
yup.
Yeah.
His grandma was something else. They kept calling him grandmom or something, whatever it was.
I know, that was ugly.
Grandmam. That's what I kept reading it as, Grandmam. Like
Grandmam. Like, why?
I read it in Grandmom, but it is Grandmam, I'm sure.
Trying to find good questions. There's like 500 million. Thank you, guys. Okay, I guess we can do this. Besides Lucy Gray, who is your favorite tribute?
See, this is where I have an issue. We didn't. I don't know any other tributes names. I don't remember any of them because we didn't get to know any of them. They all looked and not looked, but like because we can't see them, but like they all like sounded and were described almost the same. None of them stood out at all, except for I don't even know the guy who like made the morgue basically there.
Yeah, his name's
Reaper.
There you go. See, I don't remember any of their names because they weren't memorable. They weren't memorable.
Yeah. I agree with that. Sorry, were you about to talk? You can.
Oh no, I
mean,
all three of us were about to go at the same time. Y'all can.
Okay, I'll go.
You know,
that was another thing that like really. I don't know if it bothered me, but because the games in this book were so small of a part of like the entire plot line, but they still spent so much time like talking about it, and then like I realized by the end of like that part with the games that I didn't know really any of the other mentors besides like 2, and I didn't know or care about any of the victors, the tributes, and I don't know. I was just like I still thought that we'd get more of a sense of who some of the tributes were, or even some of the mentors, and I was like, they're all like interchangeable to me, and that kind of bothered me.
I liked Jessup a lot. I don't know why. Maybe just because he was from District 12. Like District 12. But I liked that like they teamed up for a bit, and he like was protecting Lucy Gray and stuff. I thought he was going to be more of a thing. Like I was like, oh, I thought he would get towards the end, and then he died. And I was like, oh.
He died terribly too.
Yeah. I do agree. I don't know if like I feel like sometimes like people say stuff and I'm like, maybe Suzanne meant this, but then I don't think necessarily she made it clear enough, and she could have made stuff clearer. But like maybe she like the intention where we don't remember the tributes is because like he doesn't view them as like memorable, if you see what I mean, because he just doesn't care about them.
I can see that.
But like I'm not saying like that also bothered me as well. Like I feel like a lot of people say critiques, and I'm like, I think she meant it this way, but also like your critique is like valid, and I agree. Like, yeah.
A tribute that kind of stuck out to me, I think his name was Marcus. He was the dude from District 2.
Oh,
because of Sejanus. Like I remember he was like describing how they used to go to school together or something, and like I think he hurt his hand, and Marcus like got him some snow to put on it to help him. And I don't know, that just got my little heart to feel something for him. And then he died terribly. And I was really intrigued by him because he was one of the people that escaped. And they ended up capturing him. And at the beginning of the games, they just put him in front of everybody. And shit, like that was rough. I wish we knew more about him, though, and him and Sejanus' relationship, because I thought we would get more on that. And I just feel bad for...
I had a theory when we found out that Sejanus and Marcus already knew each other. I was like, oh, what if they liked each other? And like that,
I had the same thought.
Yeah, I had that theory, and I was like, that would be so cool. And it didn't happen. I was a little disappointed, but
I know. I was like, maybe Suzanne's finally including some like LGBT rap, and then I was like, oh no. There was like one District 12 lesbian, I remember. I picked up on it. Like there was one like of the cubby, the like, girlfriend, and I was like, okay, here's a breadcrumb. Thanks, Suzanne.
Bread.
Yeah.
No, but I was just like, they didn't. There was none in the original trilogy, so I was curious to see if she'd include any in the new book. And I was like, there's the breadcrumb.
That would have been so cool though. Because like, what if I thought maybe what if he disliked Sejanus so much because he left him? It's like that would be so cool.
That would be good.
Such a missed opportunity.
Yeah, so many. Oh my god.
Definitely.
What did we think
I'm
of?
Oh, I was so funny.
I love this part.
I was literally just that video that's like, honey, you got a big story coming. Like that was just all that was it.
Yeah, I thought it was great because it was just like such a little Easter egg.
Yeah.
That he would be haunted by this like his whole life, pretty much. It's great.
Can you imagine him when they started using like mockingjays for her? Like he would have been so pissed. Like
Oh my god. I wish we could just see his face when he like first heard Katniss like hear or sing the songs that he knew from Lucy Gray. That'd be so funny. I'd be so upset.
Especially the
He would
Hanging
have been
Tree one.
But I was thinking about this. He doesn't ever hear her sing the Hanging Tree in the books. He does in the film, but in the books it never airs.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think
It
about
never
that.
airs in the book.
Forgot about that.
But in the movie, yeah. In the movie, yeah. But yeah. I always forget it doesn't air in the books.
But she at least sang Deep in the Meadow, and I'm sure that messed him up because it was for everybody in the world.
Literally.
Oh, I just saw a question and I lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. This is like a terrible question. What was your favorite death in the book? That is horrible.
Yeah.
If Snow died, that'd be a good one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. See, that whole game wasn't memorable to me. I'm trying to remember the death
I
scene.
did find the district. Was she from District 7? I can't remember, but it was District 4. I don't know. There was a girl who was like, she was like an underdog, and then she like came up and was like, she started killing some people, and I was like, oh, she's a bit like Joanna, or like, I don't know. She just seemed like
Someone was like hanging on the pole the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was on top of the pole, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't think I have one. There wasn't one that was like super memorable to me.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt a bit weird picking
The guy who was in charge of, I forget everyone's names. The guy who was in charge of laying out all the bodies when he died.
Reaper.
Reaper.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Yeah.
I also, not to say I
take
liked
back.
it. Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna say I thought the death, Casca's death, was just satisfying, like to me, like just because it was like they had this like thing back and forth where like he hated Snow, and then you find out why he hates Snow, and Snow poisons him, and I was like, okay, that was
really. What I was gonna say was like I didn't enjoy it, but it was such a reference. It was when the dude was hung from the hanging tree, and like we knew from that's what the hanging tree song came from. I was like, oh. As soon as that happened, I was like, oh my god, is the song gonna come up? And then it did, and my world was made amazing.
I was so excited.
That was like the best part of the book.
I was like, the hanging tree, like yeah. As soon as it was like he's been tried for like 3 whatever, I was like,
yeah. This is just rude.
I don't know.
All this stands here.
Do you know what line you're on?
We all love PETA here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Peyton's got a whole video if you need to.
The whole slide.
That was beautiful.
I'm like shocked. It has like 25,000 views, and I never expected that. Like I didn't even think it hit 1,000. I was like,
I mean, you're right.
They found it. Like the Hunger Games fans really found me in May. I was like,
really?
Oh my god.
I feel like there's just an argument going on in the comments now.
I support the PETA stance. Yeah. I'm sorry, I can't stop clicking on them. It's too good. Okay, do y'all have actual questions though? Other than
I saw a few questions we could talk about the difference between like the games in this and the games in the trilogy, and like the whole keeping the kids in cages and like how brutal they were and boring they were compared to like the flashier later on games. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts.
I kind of have some thoughts. I think it's interesting because I feel like a part of the change that we had in the future, I feel like we could really feel that it was Snow's doing, because he seemed to be slightly disturbed by the cage thing. And I think in his twisted brain, he thought, okay, the Hunger Games is okay if we treat them really well before we throw them in there. And then it doesn't matter. And I feel like that was his twisted way to try to feel good about it. But it still sucks, man. It's almost worse in a way because you're parading them around, like making it a whole spectacle to enjoy, which in this book, you could still see people didn't really want to watch it. Like, they didn't get it.
I also feel like... Oh, sorry.
No, you go, Avery. You go.
Okay. I also feel like it would have been different if Snow didn't end up in the cage himself. Like, I feel like with him being there, he really got a first-hand view of what was going on. So maybe that's also something. If he wasn't put in there, maybe it wouldn't have changed as good as it did, because like the tributes are treated really well in the recent games. So,
well, I think it was kind of clear he didn't really give much thought to how they were treated beforehand, because he's like kind of surprised they kept in cages. Like, he's just never thought about it. But yeah, I think him being in there like made him think, But I remember like there's a line, I think it's maybe in the film, there might be a line in the book too, where Effie's like, you know, you're only here and just for a little while, but enjoy everything while you're here. And it's like, which I think kind of sums it up how it like develops.
Yeah, I did like that part. I liked seeing like how they used to be and how it's like it was possible for them to be even worse than they are in the trilogy. And then the whole aspect just of like, you know, how do you keep people wanting to watch it, and how like no one wants to watch it. So it's like, you know, getting it towards like it being mandatory and everything. I thought that whole like technology component was interesting too.
I found the drones that couldn't fly kind of funny. Like, just when they were like trying to like stuff in.
Yeah.
And just wouldn't.
I do think it's cool seeing all the little sprinkles that we got in their conversations together. Everybody of them trying to figure out what to do and like knowing how it ends up. It's cool to see them starting to get those ideas.
Yeah. Someone made a good point about the fact that like half the tributes were dead before the actual games happened.
I know. It's so bad.
It was so like, I think that was it. Like, I think I was messaging a few of you and I was like, oh yeah, just wait till the end of chapter 6 and then things kick off.
Yeah, I remember during the like live sit-in, everyone was like, chapter 6. I was like, I haven't even gotten my book yet.
That was so sad.
I was very surprised about that.
Yeah. It just was like you weren't expecting, because you're just like, you kind of took it for granted that all the tributes survive until the games. Yeah. It was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was really shocked when that tribute like murdered, or what's her face? It starts with an A. I can't pronounce it. Yeah, I was like, yes, because I was like, it's getting good now. Nothing was happening. Like, there were so many moments in this book where nothing was really happening, and I can see why people were really bored. But I guess all the sprinkles of like Easter eggs and everything just kept me excited the whole time.
Yeah.
And I also feel like people might miss those if they haven't read them or read the original books in a while. And I could see why that makes the book even more boring, because that was making it really exciting for me.
Yeah, I definitely like say like with part 3, like it's a bit of a struggle bus, but like what was getting me through it was all the sprinkles, all like the District 12 things and references and stuff. Like that was what was like entertaining me through that, I guess, because like it is really slow.
Yeah, the beginning of part 3 was so slow.
Like I don't want to read about you becoming a peacekeeper and trying to put ice cubes all over your body, like.
I forgot about that. Oh my god, I blocked that out clearly. I don't want to remember that.
I didn't want to read about it either.
Yeah, I didn't really want to read that either, but coming from my perspective, my boyfriend joined the army like a year ago now. So what he was feeling, like, and things that were referenced, like, are things that he's referenced to me. So I was like, whoa, he's going to be messed up when he reads this book finally, because I feel like Snow kind of portrayed the feelings he was feeling. But overall, it's still pretty boring. This is a topic.
What do a topic.
So what what do we think actually happened to her? Did he kill her? Did she run away successfully? Like, what happened? I think she's dead.
I think she's dead. I don't know if he killed her, but I think she's dead.
Yeah, he at least wounded her.
I just think she's not Katniss, and I'm like, I don't think she would have survived. Is that me? I was just like,
no, it's not.
Trying to be like Katniss out there.
I don't know. I'm kind of an optimist. Just, like maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I think I just hope that she got away, and then I didn't really think about it after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, realistically, I don't know.
She probably died, because I remember it was like she screamed or something, which might have just been she got hit by one of the bullets, but survived, hopefully. Yeah. But most likely.
I saw this wild theory on Instagram that was Lucy Gray like lived out in the woods for a bit, and then she came back to District 12 and named herself Greasy Say, and I was like, I don't know if I believe that, but what a theory.
That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome if that was true.
I was like, can you imagine? I was like, oh my gosh.
I saw other people saying, which I was like, what? Everybody was like, okay, so she went to District 13 and she's like a descendant, or she's the ancestor of Al McCoy. And I'm like, no.
I don't know how that would have worked.
I don't think everyone needs to be related, you know?
Yeah, they don't gotta be related.
I do feel like that, like, I think if Suzanne decides to write another Hunger Games book, I don't know if she's going to, obviously, but I feel like she would benefit so much from actually talking to like people in the fandom to get all these theories and stuff. Because, like, I feel like this book would have been so much better. Could have been so much better if like she like actually took our theories into account. You know,
we had some good theories.
Yeah. I kind of wish she would just like engage slightly more. Like,
a little bit.
just like an interview, like, you know, like even like the big promo interview that happened like a week after the book was out was like between her two editors, and I was like, I know you like living in the woods, but like, come on, like, to do it, not you. Like, okay.
I really want to know like what she's up to. Like, is she okay? Did she read any of the reviews? Does she go on YouTube and look her book up? Like, I want to know about this woman.
Yeah. She's an enigma. Should we talk about Sejanus? Because I feel like there are people in this group who have conflicting. I know there are people in this group that have conflicting opinions about Sejanus.
Lily and sorry. No. I thought you said you didn't like him.
Oh, no, I felt very middle of the road about, like, in the end I felt middle of the road about him.
I
think Emma and Paige.
I don't remember whose vlog it was. One of y'all's vlogs was saying how you were like, I'm so annoyed by him, and I was laughing.
I think Emma got
It's
annoyed by
probably
him.
me. Yeah, I don't know. I felt it was so weird that he was in the place that he was when he like outwardly and vocally is like against everything. And I'm like, then why are these people still putting up with him? Why does he get all of these opportunities? And I don't know. I just felt like he was just there to be like the anti-Snow and have the exact opposite opinions of Snow. And I was like, that's fine, I guess. But I literally did not care about him the entire time. And I didn't even honestly, like, people started talking about him once they finished the books. And I was like, I didn't even like, it didn't even cross my mind that he was like one of the mainish characters. Like, he was literally always just there. And I was like, okay. Like, I didn't care about him. Like, he was fine. I didn't hate him, but I just didn't get why everybody loves him so much. Like, he was so meh to me. And I just felt like he was there as a plot point and like as a anti-Snow. And I don't know, and then I started watching all these things and everyone's like, he's my favorite character. And I was like, what did he even do? Like, why? Like, so I don't know. Like, he's fine, but to me, he's like on the level of like, I don't know. Like, he was just there, I guess, for me. And so I was really shocked when people were like so in love with him because I don't know. I didn't pay attention to him in the series, I guess, enough, maybe. I literally, like, I couldn't even tell you half of what he did because I've already forgotten.
I feel like my memory of Sejanus is just that he, it's just whenever people started talking about stuff, he was like, I don't want it. Like, that's all I can remember him doing is just him constantly, like, speaking out about stuff. I mean, I've said in my vlogs a million times, he reminded me a bit of Peter just because he obviously like didn't like what was going on. But I always say Peter was a lot smarter than him because Peter knew when to shut up and play the game. Whereas Sejanus just said stuff. Well, Peter's just like, he knows when to like, manipulate people. Like, if Peter would have shut up in those classes and done something behind the scenes, that's like,
I'm like, what are you gonna do about it then? Like, do something. Like, just don't say stuff. And I don't know, it just seemed really unrealistic that he got away with saying all that stuff around all these people of power who disagreed with him. I was like, I don't know. He was there.
I feel so attacked. Oh. No, I get what you're saying. I personally loved him, but like not anywhere near of the other characters in the original series.
Yeah.
I think I kind of like hugged on to him because he's the most likable character of them all in the whole book. So I kind of just wanted to protect him. And I don't know, I just appreciated him always standing out about it, but I do agree that is a little bit unrealistic that everybody was like, okay, he can throw a chair and like it'll be fine. Like nobody cares that he's mad. So I get that. But
he just breaks into the arena. Like, I'm just like remembering all the stuff. He just breaks in and everyone's like,
yeah.
Oh my god, that killed me.
He's so dumb.
That's like actually funny because Lily was like, he's like PETA, but the dumber version.
No, he literally is.
So that's probably why I liked it.
Like, PETA actually gets stuff done. Like, he does things, and like he doesn't just talk. He actually like uses his voice to like, you know, make things happen. And I'm just like, what is Sejanus doing? But I think I just get annoyed when people are like, he's the PETA of this book. And I was like, don't you dare disrespect PETA like that. Like, they are not the same. I think he was lacking some like characterization for sure. Like, I think that's a lot of the characters in this book. I just feel like by the end, and it was so long of a book that I expected to like get more of a sense of who they all were besides Snow. And I still feel like I just didn't know enough about him to really connect with him, probably.
I feel like a part of that comes from how Snow didn't really care to know them. And like, because Katniss was kind of like that with people. Like, she wouldn't remember people's names. Like, she didn't really care about anything but like saving her sister and PETA. So I feel like I can see why we wouldn't know that much about him. At the same time, coming from the reader perspective, we would love to know all their backstories and everything about them.
I was just thinking this earlier that, like, when I think about the first Hunger Games book, actually, I do feel like in the first Hunger Games book, a lot of the characters aren't super dimensional in that book. I feel like we get a lot of their characterization in, like, the second and third books. Like, I feel like we get to know them a lot more in those books. Like, whenever I read the first book, I'm always shocked at how little we know about a lot of the characters. Like, I always think, like, oh, we know all this about Haymitch, and then in the first book, he really just sent us stuff. And I was like, oh, we find out the rest of it in the later book. So I don't know if it was, like, a one-book situation. I don't... But I agree with you, Emma. Like,
oh, go ahead.
I agree. No, you go. I was just going to say, I agree with you that they felt quite two-dimensional at times. Like, I would have liked more from some of them.
Yeah, I feel like with the Hunger Games, like the first book, it's like you expect that limited thing because it's first person. And the fact that this was third person, like, even though it was like limited, I was still like, I don't know. I feel like it's harder to justify like having all these very like hollow feeling characters when it doesn't have to be that way, because you can see them like without being in the head of Snow. So I don't know. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't know. It didn't really bother me in the first Hunger Games book because I was like, well, of course Katniss doesn't care about these people because she's, better things to do.
And she's actually likable.
Yeah, that too.
It helps get you through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you just get the vibe Katniss doesn't care, which is valid.
Right.
I was almost overwhelmed by how many names were in this book, just because I didn't realize how, like, because Katniss just doesn't know anyone's name because she just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Whereas Snow says everyone's name, and you're just like, huh? And especially the capital names are all so complicated that I just was like, who? I was like,
He's very calculating. That's one thing in his perspective because you could see how he was trying to like morph into every situation and how would he react to what that person just said. Like even Sejanus, like he had no idea like that Snow was manipulating him the whole time. Like he literally thought of him as a brother, which that's what makes me the most mad because he ended up getting hung and everything and I'm still not over that. But it pisses me off because interesting to be on the other side of it because normally if we were in Sejanus' point of view and he was the protagonist, like main character, the narrator, it would probably have been shocking that what happened to him happened because we weren't on the other end of it seeing all those thoughts happen. Which that brings a question. How would you feel if this was narrated by either Lucy Gray or what's his face, Sejanus? Like, would you want that? Would you have preferred that? Or do you think Snow was the right person for this book?
I think Snow was the right person for the ideas she was trying to, because like when I read the back of the interview in the back, it seemed quite clear to me that Suzanne wrote this to like explore political ideas. Like that was her motivation behind writing it more than anything else. So I guess he was the right person to explore those ideas, but I was really gunning for a Lucy Gray POV. Like I really wanted it, and then I kept flicking through the book and it wasn't happening, and I was like, okay, we're not getting a Lucy Gray point of view, fine.
I was hoping for that.
But I was really hoping for it, because then I think it would have been interesting to have both of them during the games. Like you could have had some of her inside the games, because you just don't see her for like 50, 100 pages. Like she's just in the tunnel.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So and it would have been cool to see what was going on inside her head, and then you just would have learned more about like her and the Covey and like how. Because for a long time I was like, who are the Covey? I was like, what's going on? I was like, what?
Yeah, I was like, that was one of my major theories, was that it was in third person because we would have two different POVs. And I honestly still stick by that if we had both, that we would have had someone to really love and cling to, and also his perspective on like, you know, the political aspect and like seeing how manipulative he was. And, you know, I don't know, another missed opportunity, as Avery says.
Yeah, I wanted a Lucy Gray point of view. It would have been so much better, in all honesty.
Agreed. I think I saw.
I didn't mean to click that because we already talked about it.
I think I saw someone kept asking about Billy Torp.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to click.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the dude that had like a relationship with Lucy Gray before she left. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Snow freaking murdered him.
I had a theory that one of the reason maybe why Snow ended up like hating Lucy Gray is when he went to 12, he realized that she was always with him, like Billy, and like he would have started hating her and stuff. So I didn't really like him, Billy Top, though. So
yeah, he didn't seem that cool, but also yeah, there was like nothing memorable about him other than that he seemed to like have cheated on her.
Oh yeah,
with the mayor, or the mayor's daughter, not the mayor.
I forgot he cheated on her with the mayor's daughter. I forgot all that. Like part 3, I read it. I do want to reread it. I feel like I'm gonna have to reread it to like get my actual like rating down and like my full thoughts down, because I read it in like 2 days and like I just sped through it, and like I read part 3 and like
sorry, to be 3 weeks.
It took a long time. It took a long time. I just read it in 2 days because I didn't want to get spoiled. I just had this fear. That was what was
I just wanted to like have it over with. Like, well, not that I didn't like it, but I was like, I cannot go on the internet ever again until I finish this book. It's like my whole YouTube channel was about it, and I just felt like it would have just ended terribly if I didn't finish it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I didn't get spoilers in those 3 weeks. So,
hey,
that's impressive.
Yeah, I think that's pretty impressive.
I only got like, oh, this chapter is pretty big or interesting. Like, okay, I'll be ready for that chapter. But I didn't get any like spoilers. So
yeah,
I'm also not on Twitter anymore, so that probably helped.
Yeah, probably. I have like, sorry.
No, I just was gonna say I don't feel like I saw that many spoilers on Twitter. I just saw people's general feelings more than spoilers.
And I mostly just saw people being like, "This is the worst book ever." I was like, And I don't know why I take it as like a personal thing where I'm like, I feel bad. Like I said this book was good and they hated it because of me. And I'm like, it's not my fault. Like they can hate it. I can like it. It's okay. Everything's gonna be fine. But I wanted to talk about, because I just remembered the whole storyline with what's her face, Clemencia, and how she got bit by the snakes. The girl that got bit by the snakes.
Oh.
And like went into the hospital for a few weeks. Yeah. I legit thought she was gonna turn into a mutt. Like I thought that was the whole point of that.
I thought she was gonna turn into a mutt and get put in the games. That's what I thought was like.
Yeah, same.
And I'm kind of confused.
So cool.
Like what happened with that whole situation? And
maybe we should have written the book. All respect to Suzanne Collins-ish, but like I'm just we've had some good ideas.
Like we're really good. Like I feel like we got this. But I did think it was cool to see the beginnings of the mutts and like the ideas of making like monsters to throw in there. But now that you think about it, like what the frick was going on with Clemencia? I don't get it.
That was something I didn't feel like was tied up as much as I wanted it to be. I feel like I wanted to go back and see, was she okay? Did she probably have some trauma? Is she like, what's going on? Yeah, I remember the whole bit when he was walking through the lab and he was like, you could see like Avoxes being experimented on, and I was just like, this is a YA book? Like that was my, like, because I work in a bookshop and I was like, and we put it in adult and we also put it in YA. And every time I see it in the YA section at work, I'm like,
Yeah, there was cannibalism and everything. That was shocking. Like, I don't know. This didn't even really feel like a YA book.
No.
Fully.
No. definitely not. So you want to talk about the music? We haven't like talked about the music yet. There's like a lot of music in this. Because I was so happy when I saw the Valley song lyrics. I was like, oh my god, that's what Katniss sung to her Peter. Well, not to Peter, but that's what Katniss sung in front of Peter on her first day of school.
Yes.
And I was having a bad moment.
Yeah, I liked all the music in this. I thought it was cool.
Me too. It was like the one plus from this book where I was like, yes.
Yeah, I feel like they all had like kind of District 12-y country vibes, which was cute. And I feel like we got more of the vibe actually that like District 12 like is meant to be like have kind of like Southern accents, because I think they're meant to. But I never felt like we got that vibe from Katniss in the book. But yeah,
I never got it. No.
Yeah, I
but
don't.
Have you heard Suzanne Collins read from Mockingjay? Because it's wild. It's like a full, like, for me, I'm not from the South, I'm not from the US, but like for me it sounds like a proper like Southern US accent. And
I'll have to go look it up. I'm from the South, so
yeah, I'd like to hear your opinion, because like, yeah.
I watched the clip of her that was released of her reading, like I think chapter 3 of the Ballad, and she did Lucy Gray's voice with a Southern accent, and I was like, I am from the South, but I hate Southern accents. Like, I'm surrounded by them constantly, and they piss me off. So I was like, ew. Like, don't do this to me.
It's like very thick. Like, to me, it sounds like a very thick, like,
yeah.
So like,
it was a lot.
It doesn't sound like you, Avery. It sounds like, I don't know, like.
Yeah, I have a light one.
Yeah, it's like the exaggerated version of a country accent, which those are real. Like, people sound like that, and that's when it bothers me.
Like Alabama accent.
Yeah. I'm saying yeah, like I know. I'm not from the US. I'm just like, it sounds Southern. I know like about 4 or 5 accents from the US, and that's it.
I just had a random thought about how we found out that July 4th, like, that's so cool.
I know. I was like, oh, damn. Okay.
That was supposed to be about freedom, and that's like the opposite of freedom, like that day. And I'm sure that was on purpose. So I thought that was cool.
I mean, I don't obviously celebrate July 4th, but I thought it was interesting. I was just like, oh, I see what you're doing there. Okay. I just saw stuff that they imagined Lucy with a British accent, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I don't know what accent I hear things in when I read books. Actually, I don't know.
I know.
No idea.
Eddie added insight.
Yeah. But Appalachia, doesn't Appalachia go like right up? It goes up into the north, but I always thought she was meant to be around like Virginia, like Tennessee kind of area. Is that in Appalachia? I don't know.
I don't know my geography.
I can tell ya.
I do think it is like up around that, but I am not the smartest human being. So
Last geography course I took was freshman year of high school. So
Same.
that left my brain right when I took the class.
I took geography A-level, like, so I did it right to the end of high school essentially, but we didn't look at maps of the US very much. So I don't know. We more talked about like politics and glaciers. I don't want to go back there. It wasn't a good time. Which
they said that District 12 is around Virginia in the map.
That seems about right, I would say.
I'm supposed to be in District 12, so I'm proud.
Where Texas. Where would I be? I want to look it up.
Yeah, I can't
There's
remember that
many
chart.
different maps, so like it kind of changes.
According to Suzanne Collins, I don't exist anymore.
Oh,
I don't
no.
No, she just never mentions what happens in the rest of the world. So, but it's fine. Most dystopians don't, unless they're set here.
I really wonder, like, what is the rest of the world like? Like, is it just dead, or they just don't talk to the people over there anymore? Like, what is going on?
Sorry, I keep seeing people making fun of British accents in the comments, which is making me laugh.
I think I'm in 11. I think I'm
Okay.
in 11.
I just want to
I'm
read
like-
out all these things now.
I think I'm in 1. I'm like between 1 and 2
Ooh.
because they always split
Dang.
California in half.
So you're like the rich kids,
Yeah.
and me and
I'm
Avery
just
are poor.
And I don't exist. To be honest, like, people are like, oh, I remember people back in the day being like, oh, I bet the rest of the world was just like watching the US, like, what the hell's going on? And I was like, we're no better. We probably had our own weird situation going on. Like, stop pretending the UK is better. Like, I was like, we probably had our own messed up kind of government. But it does make me wonder, like, what happened. I always thought California was District 4 for some reason. I think I just thought beaches, and I was like, California has beaches.
Maybe it just depends on the map.
Yeah, I don't know.
4. Oh, this thing has Florida as 4.
Mm.
But then I think maps of where Florida doesn't exist anymore.
Mhm.
Like, I've seen maps where Florida's just not there anymore.
Yeah.
Some maps where half of Texas is gone. My half, so
Maybe she doesn't exist either.
I don't either. Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep seeing this question. I have no idea.
No idea.
No.
I don't keep up with celebrities and actors, so
I also
Yeah.
don't know any actors who are like my age or younger for some reason.
No.
Like, I don't know any
Yeah.
that like I really like. All the actors I like are like 50, so.
Yeah. I just
No,
pray
I don't-
that Timothy Chalamet is not Snow.
I was about to say,
Get the record straight.
it's a joke, but like, no Timothy Chalamet.
Please,
Yeah.
nothing against him. It's just like everybody wants him in everything.
I mean, yeah. I don't know any actors. I mean, I don't really know how I feel about the film, but like, if they go with the casting, just do what they did last time, where they got like kind of up and coming but still relatively unknown actors.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and maybe
really
get some
wonder-
like
Sorry.
bigger actors. Well, I was just gonna say, just get some bigger actors to play like some of like the adults, like Casca and
That'd be
Dr.
cool.
Gold and stuff. Yeah.
I really wonder if the movie will be any good. Like, can Francis Lawrence pull through? I don't know, because I don't know how well it'd work as a movie, because I feel like so much happened at the same time, nothing happened.
I feel like so much is in his head, and like, I don't know how they're gonna, because a lot happens in Katniss's head in the books, but there's enough action that you can like make a good movie out of it. But like,
Mhm.
this one isn't really action, so I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you do?
And even the actual games is pretty anticlimactic. Like, and I can see
Yeah.
why, but I don't know how they're gonna make that juicy.
I feel like people would, I mean, like, the same reason people like don't like the book in a lot of ways. People wouldn't like the film because they'd go in thinking it'd be an exciting Hunger Games, and then it's not.
I know. I feel like so many
Yeah.
people probably won't like the movie.
Yeah, because a lot of people like don't like the Mockingjay films because like there's no Hunger Games and it's boring, or like I've heard that argument a lot. Which we've
People
talked
just
about.
want people to die. Like, dang. People need to chill.
No, because a lot of people just saw part 1 and then didn't watch part 2, even though I'm like, watch part 2 because that's the good one. Like,
Yeah.
I love part 1. I love part 1, but I'm like, you got to watch them both.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
I think this is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And they'll probably like not know much about it and go into the movie and just be like, wait, nothing really happened.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if like it would do any good because like I feel like when Hunger Games the film came out, it was like just a good time because like all the way adaptations were kind of starting up and like it just had a good promotion team behind it and everything, and it was like a good time. Whereas I feel like now people would be like, "Oh, that happened like 10 years ago. Like, we're over it," kind of thing.
Mm.
I don't know though. Sorry, I just saw a comment that was like, "As long as Snow rubbing ice cubes in on his body isn't in the film, I'll be fine."
Agreed.
I still pictured him as an old man, like the whole book. I just couldn't do a young
It's
dude.
so hard. It's so hard not to.
So whenever he's actually, and I just hope he's not attractive. Like, I just don't want to deal with that internal conflict.
No, and then it's gonna be so hard to like watch him and Lucy on the screen. Like,
It's one thing having it in your brain. No, I was just saying it's one thing having it in your brain. It's another thing to have to like watch it.
Exactly. I feel like one thing is they could possibly make the seeing her do all the shit she's doing, I feel like could have a different impact. And maybe in the movie we could actually see inside the arena while she's going through the stuff.
I'm sure, yeah.
So they might make her a little bit better, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think there's
I feel
potential to like have a
they
lot
could
of
do
parts be better.
They could do the opposite of like, well, not the opposite, but flip it as they did with the film. And like in the first film, obviously you get all the stuff like with Snow that we don't get in the books. Because like I always forget he's really not in the books much at all, but he's in the film so much. Like we've got Donald Sutherland, we're gonna use him.
Yeah.
I'd love to see her like trying to poison people because that was off page. Like we just heard about her plan and what she did. But in the movie, like they could actually show.
Yeah. Definitely. I think Anna said something about like the Undersea family. I found it so funny every time we get new content. We're like, Madge is connected, and then she's not. It's just like a thing every time.
We really wanted her to be connected to this book, and it.
Yeah.
I think people are just hung up on like, you know, she gave Katniss the Mockingjay pin, so she has to have this like greater meaning.
This would be so weird if like Donald Sutherland showed up.
I wonder who it would be.
Oh my god. Wonder if he played Dean Highbottom. That would mess me up. That'd be so weird.
But Dean's not meant Highbottom's not meant to be old. I thought he was meant to be like in his 20s or 30s.
I thought he was friends with Snow's dad.
Yeah. He was
So he's definitely too old, but just imagine him killing pretty much himself. Like in the movie first.
Yeah. I think I saw someone saying something about sequels, and I agree. I don't want sequels.
Yeah, I don't either. I would love her to write other things.
Yeah. I just want her to leave Katniss and Peter alone, because that's what they deserve.
Yeah.
They've been through enough.
Yeah. Oh yeah, can we just take a moment? Someone said something about Highbottom's name. Can we just take a moment about hilarious Heavensby's name? Because it's something.
Yeah.
The names in this book is just crazy.
I know. Like
Okay, they want us to rank the 4 books. I feel like everybody's is probably going to be The Ballad on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I think me and Lily like Catching Fire the best. So that's
Yeah.
our top. And then I
Yeah.
like the second.
But I think me and you, Peyton, differ on. I think you have Hunger Games above Mockingjay, and I have Mockingjay above Hunger Games. So
Yes.
I'm Catching Fire, Mockingjay, Hunger Games, Ballad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think mine's Mockingjay, Catching Fire, Hunger Games, Ballad.
Same.
Although, like, the gap between Hunger Games and Ballad is, like, so big. Because I still absolutely love the first book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it compares, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I like knew that going in. Like, I think people, like, when they heard some of my thoughts and like criticisms, they were like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "No, I knew going in it wasn't like gonna even hold a candle. Like, it's fine."
Yeah.
Because that's like I didn't include it as like a big disappointment in like my mid-year wrap up because I was like, I kind of knew going in like it wasn't gonna be all that. So like I was kind of like it wasn't as disappointing as maybe it seems.
And I feel like I'm super confusing because I gave it 5 stars. But I mean, like, the 5 stars for the trilogy is like up here, and the 5 stars for that is like here. I'm pretty confusing, but it feels right in my heart. So
whatever like goes, it's so good.
Yeah, ratings are so arbitrary anyway.
yeah.
Definitely. I like seeing everyone's rankings.
No one likes
People put-
Mockingjay.
Mockingjay is so underrated.
We're like the Mockingjay defense squad over here.
So many people hate that, but how about they just think about it for a second? Like, it's still better than the Ballad.
Yeah.
So now they can put it in perspective.
Not to like self-promo, but I made a whole 25-minute video over why Mockingjay is great. So
Yeah,
you need
That video.
that video really spoke to my soul.
Yes.
Thank you
I
for
felt
doing the hard work.
yes.
I just sat down and I was like, do you know what? It needs to be said.
Yes.
Oh, we haven't talked about Dr. Ghoul. We should probably talk about Dr. Ghoul because she's something.
Yeah. I think she was pretty important to his life and the way his life was going to go in the future.
Yeah.
Because he had, like, they weren't even really ever doing mentors before. And I don't even think they wanted to do it again, but I'm assuming they did. But
I think they said at the end of the Ballad that they weren't doing university mentors again because
they were.
it was just horrible.
yeah, they did not like that.
No.
But I think she's very significant in his life and the way it swayed in the end. And I enjoyed their conversations together because you could really see like how he became who he was. And that was one thing I was worried about the book was that it wouldn't make sense, like how he became who he was. And I think she made it make sense of it.
Yeah. I still think they could have gone farther though. Like that's probably my most disappointing thing was by the end, I still was like, Snow in this book is still down here compared to Snow in the trilogies. And I still feel like there's so much like that was left out and that we didn't get to see. And I thought, not that like the Ballad was going to end like where the trilogy began, but just in terms of like him and like how evil he is and whatever. I don't know. I thought the Ballad was going to go a lot farther with that. And I feel like by the end of Ballad, he was like, you know, he poisoned somebody, he killed somebody, but it didn't feel like it was like up to the level that he is later. And that kind of bothered me.
I feel the exact same way.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I thought we were gonna get him, like, I thought that it would end with him like becoming president. I thought we were gonna see him like getting sworn in or whatever. And then like I was reading part 3 and I was like, how is this ending? Like, I was like, where is this ending? I was like looking at it, I was like, we've only got like 40 pages left and he's still in 12. There's still like I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
That was
I definitely wanted. Yeah, I definitely wanted to see more of him rising like through the political ranks.
Yeah, I think that's why some people really want a sequel, but I don't think we should. But I do think it would have been better if she showed us like him actually being in power, because I did like the scene where he poisoned him, but that was like only the beginning of all of the craziness he was about to go through.
And I was like, there shouldn't be so many people that feel like there needs to be a whole entire other book to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought that's what this book was supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's like probably my biggest like thing about this book that I don't like.
Same.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Because like the origin story of like Queen Lavanna, I was like, that's an origin story. We get to see how she becomes evil in the Lunar Chronicles. And, like, I wanted that. And that was like this long. And like we got it.
I know, I did that in like 150 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw someone say something about like how District 12 was always like the problem child of the games. Because like every victor was basically a problem child, because like Lucy, they had to like erase it, and Haymitch obviously with his little trick with the force field and stuff.
I think that's crazy that she won and nobody remembers it. Like, I kind of like that though. Like, nobody even remembers her name. Like, that's crazy.
Because like nobody watched it in 12, so they wouldn't even like only have friends would have like remembered it, and if they would die really young, so like it might not be passed down. Yeah, that is interesting. Maybe it's because they're just left alone District 12 so much.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just like out doing their own thing. Like, yeah, they're definitely not as But then I saw a theory that was interesting. That was like, do you think someone was like, do you think he leaves District 12 alone more because of Lucy Gray? And I was like,
I think possibly.
But like he leaves them alone. He leaves them alone in both senses, and that he leaves them alone in terms of he doesn't have really strict law enforcement for a long time. But he also like they have like no resources, like people like dying. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like not necessarily a good. Like it's a complicated thing.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
I feel like we see this in Mockingjay for sure. Like, there's so many people that live in the capital who, like, that's just where they grew up, but that doesn't make them, like, actively evil or whatever.
Yeah. I agree.
And you've got, like, Cinna, you've got, like, the Avox girl, Lavinia, you've got Plutarch, like, you've got quite a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was that theory that like where Snow lives becomes a training center.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, and that because he's in the penthouse, like that's the floor that.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. I feel like there's just so many connections with them, because like I didn't like him going to the lake, because I was like, that's Katniss' place.
Yeah.
Like, that's Katniss and her dad's place. I was like, get out, you rat. Like that was like
and then
I know it kind of taints like the memories of Katniss and her dad and everything, because we know that his stupid ass was also there.
Yeah.
And it makes it even more disgusting that he was able to so easily bomb District 12, knowing that he had spent time there. Like, he knew about everything there. Like, he knew what things were called, and he still was able to bomb it.
This has just come to me, but do you think maybe because he's been to District 12, he knew like how to like bug certain places? Like, because he's been there before, and like you know how he like they always felt like they couldn't talk in certain places. Oh, maybe that's sorry. Ignore me. I was going on a train and then I caught myself.
You never know.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
I just don't think he cares that much about
Yeah, I don't think he cares that much. If he's able to be with Sejanus's parents after knowing that and be perfectly chill with them, he does not feel that bad about it.
No.
What did y'all think about the Jabberjay thing? How like he used those to his advantage?
It was, yeah, I mean, I could see it, like, as soon as he was, like, experimenting with them and stuff, I was like, oh, this is gonna be used. But it was interesting to see them used, like, properly, because we only, like, hear about them a little bit in the book, so it was cool in action. Yeah, like, I do think, like, people have said in the comments, like, definitely this book, like, if you're a big fan of the trilogy, there are so many, like, little Easter eggs and bits, like, to kind of keep you entertained throughout, even if you're not a fan of, like, everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like people that aren't, like, really into the series probably would not really be into this book at all.
Yeah, I get it. Like, when I've read, like, you know, like, 1-star reviews, I, like, get it. Because, like, I read the review and I'm like, I understand. I'm like, and like half the time I agree with some of the points and I'm like, yeah, you're right. But
that's what's so weird about it, because like I gave it 5 stars, but I like understand and like agree with a lot of people's things about it. Yeah. But I just think like my enjoyment level, like I was just so excited that like I was just on top of the world. Yeah. But at the same time, there's still issues with it, obviously. And I think when I filmed my review, I only really focused on things that I like. See negative things mostly, but I definitely want to add like a segment now that I realized that I forgot to mention any of the things I disliked.
I'd be interested to see someone who's never like read the trilogy before like read this one first.
Yeah.
Like what do you think of it if this is their first one and then they go into the real trilogy? That'd be interesting.
That would be
to watch someone do that.
Yeah, definitely. I found it interesting. I think it would depend if they were into like political theory, I guess, because like I think so much of this book is like political theory, and like if you were into that, maybe you'd like it. But otherwise, like this book is so conceptual, and it's so much about the concept. So I feel like if you're into like those ideas, then you would probably enjoy it. But like the way we advertise it at work is like a political thriller kind of, even though like when people use that, I'm like, I mean, it's kind of slow. Like I'm like, not very fast paced. Yeah, it was interesting though. I talked to a colleague who's like, he's read the trilogy, but I imagine like quite a lot of years ago. And then he read this and he really liked it actually. He was like, yeah, I liked it. It had a lot of callbacks to the trilogy. So he did pick up on those, even though he read it a while ago. So I found that interesting.
Yeah, the people in my real life that I know that haven't read Hunger Games in like probably at least 5 years, they like love the book way more than I did.
Yeah.
That's
so it's really interesting.
Yeah.
I guess you just kind of don't know. Like I don't think you can predict whether or not you're gonna like it either. It's hit or miss.
Yeah.
This person said this is their first time reading a Hunger Games book, even though they've seen the movies, and they loved the Ballad, even through its flaws.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. At least you had some context with the movies, I guess. But there's a lot. I feel like a lot of the Easter eggs were book related, actually.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Sorry.
Someone brought up a quote that said, Snow said the things we love most will destroy us. Now thinking of it, Lucy Gray was stopping him from getting to power. I love his connection to the trilogy. I agree. I think that's cool. Because I feel like he learned his own twisted lesson from the Lucy Gray situation, and he's like
Mhm.
lived by it since it happened.
Yeah.
Also, I think Katniss kind of reminds Snow of Lucy Gray. Like, I feel like he gets a similar vibe from her, and how she was just not chill with everything. I don't know. I'm explaining this so bad.
No, I get you. I think I agree with you, but I also think it's funny because like when Lucy Gray was introduced, I was like, oh, she is so not Katniss. Like, I was glad because I was worried it was going to be a different kind of. I was worried it's going to be the same character, but like, it's so not Katniss because she like loves performing, and Katniss is like, I do not like this.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, but I think probably like the music, and I guess just being from District 12 and being like a bit playing like by her own rules, I guess, is like there are definitely callbacks.
You're in the majority.
Yeah. I definitely view it as very separate from the trilogy. Like, they don't occupy the same space in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to read this one if you don't want to.
Yeah.
It's just like an additional thing, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. If someone was like, do I have to read it? I'd be like, no.
You don't.
I think I've said to a lot of people, I'm like, here's all the things that you may not like about it. And if any of this puts you off, don't read it. Like, because I'm like, it's just not what, like, if you're not going to enjoy it, like, just don't waste your time and then not enjoy it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's up with the roses?
This mentions the roses. I really liked the little things with the roses and the poison. Like, that messed me up. Like, when he gave her a rose. When I first like read that, I was like, what?
I did think he was a little bit dumb giving her his compact with like his
Yeah,
like I was like, boy, you're gonna get found. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I definitely think he was like, he's smarter than that. So that was really frustrating. And then it happened, and I was like, who would have thought?
There were definitely
everyone.
There were definitely certain things I didn't necessarily pick up on because I was reading it so quickly. But then in hindsight, I look back on it and I'm like, oh, that was really obvious. Like, and the compact was one of them. Like, it happened and I was like, that's kind of dumb. And then it like, but I just like, if you see my vlog, you know, like in my vlog, I literally was reading the end of part 2 and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I just did not see the Peacekeeper thing coming.
Same.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah. And I'd even flipped ahead and seen it was called part 3, The Peacekeeper, and my brain still hadn't made that connection.
Yeah, I didn't either. Like, I never would have thought that he had to do that.
Yeah. I think Tal said something in the beginning of the book. Snow said that his obsession would be his undoing. Yeah, his obsession with Katniss blinded him to Coin. I hadn't thought of that.
That was like foreshadowing.
Yeah. Coin's a little sneaky. I feel like the light is going in my room. I'm just going to turn it on quick.
This says they think everyone should read it because there's so many differing opinions. And I kind of agree with that because I feel like you just don't know if you're going to like it or not. So if you want to give it a try, you should.
Yeah, like as long as people don't like jump on the bandwagon and are like, that book's awful before they've read it, that's like what really gets to me. I'm like, form your own opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna like, I don't think I necessarily recommend this book to people.
Yeah, I'm the same, Emma. But like the way I've thought about it is I'm like, there are people who've been like, I don't want to read a Snow origin story. And I'm like, that is so valid.
That's
don't read it.
Yeah, and I'm like, that is so valid. If you don't like, I understand why you feel uncomfortable with that. Like, I felt uncomfortable the whole time I was reading it, and like, if you have things against that, I agree with you, but like,
Yeah.
don't read it then. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you already like are like, I'm gonna hate reading about a Snow origin story, then like, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you probably won't like it.
Yeah. But then it's like, you know, there's stuff in it that is interesting to like discuss and critique. I don't know. I have a lot of feelings.
I might have to jump off if that's okay.
No, that's fine.
We're about to show someone our house, so
Okay.
That's fine. We could probably wrap this up anyways because I feel like we've covered most of everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, last minute thoughts if anybody has anything. But I think we got it. So, thank you guys so much for watching this live stream. Everybody's linked down below. If you want to go subscribe to them, you should. And yeah, this book has a lot of different things to talk about. Like, there's so much going on with it. But it was fun talking about it, even when we didn't agree. Like, why not? It's fun.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll go. Everybody saying bye.
Bye.
Bye.